Well, good evening and welcome to the STS-88 Flight Day 3 mission status briefing. With us to discuss the events that have occurred aboard Endeavour today, we have Bob Castle, the STS-88 lead flight director, and joining him, Bill Bastido, the Unity Launch Package Manager. We'll have statements from both gentlemen, then we'll take your questions. Bob?
Okay, thanks. This will be pretty quick because things have gone very, very well today. Very smoothly. I was very pleasantly surprised and very happy with the way things have gone. The rendezvous is proceeding very well. We successfully did not perform a burn this morning because the tracking was such we didn't need it. We will be doing a burn here in about an hour, which is NC4A is what it's called, and then we'll be doing another burn about two revs after that, which will set us up in pretty good shape, I believe, for the rendezvous. Currently, we are 5,600 nautical miles behind Zarya, closing at 675 miles in orbit, and of course in about an hour that's going to change because we're going to do a maneuver to slow it down and set us up to be at the right position tomorrow for rendezvous. All of that is doing wonderful. The shuttle is in excellent shape. There have been no other problems on the shuttle, which essentially says there are none. There have been nothing worth talking about. I mentioned the payload bay camera that didn't pan real well yesterday. Well, so far it's been panning quite successfully at the slow rate. We've had no problems with it. We're going to be careful with it, but we still have no problems. The main things, of course, today we unberthed the Unity from the payload bay and installed it on the ODS. All that went very well. I was very happy with the performance of everything. The docking system performed exactly as expected, and we have now configured it so it's controlling the docking system on the other end of Unity, and is prepared for the berth of the Zarya module tomorrow. When I left the control center, we're in the middle of ingressing PMA2. That's done to equalize pressure with PMA2 and reduce the pressure a little bit for a structural loading concern before the ohms burn that comes up. The pressure was already equalized and had gone down, and it was just a matter of finishing off some work inside the PMA. And I guess as of the time we walked out, they hadn't actually opened the hatch yet, but they were certainly very close to it. Everything has gone very well, and I don't have anything else really to say. I'm looking forward to rendezvous tomorrow. The times are essentially the same as we've been advertising before. The TI burn is going to be at 3:15 tomorrow afternoon Central Time. We'll arrive at station keeping distance from Zarya, which is very close to essentially at the grapple point, waiting on acquisition at 5:39 p.m. is the current prediction. Grapple at 5:46. These have all tweaked slightly since the last set of numbers as we run out the trajectory. Zarya installation is going to be somewhere on the order of 8 p.m. tomorrow night, but that I think has got a little more variation in it just because of we're going to take our time and be careful. So it may vary around a little bit, plus or minus a few minutes. That's all I've got to say. Bill?
All right. I think my report's going to be shorter than Bob's. We're very pleased to be where we are today and have the cargo element Unity up on the ODS and waiting to dock the FGB tomorrow. We've gotten a good chance to look at the entire vehicle, more or less, as we went through the lifting process today, and we're pleased with what we saw. We're working one minor thing that we've noted, but other than that, we're pretty happy with the condition of the vehicle that we can see so far, and we'll continue to do photo surveys and inspect the vehicle as the time goes on, and those are all planned in Bob's timeline. We're also looking forward to tomorrow and getting the spacecraft together with the FGB. And other than that, we're looking forward to a good read tonight that we have no pressure leaks in the node, and we should know that a little bit later. Or I guess we know that now.
We know that now, yeah. The pressures came out exactly as we expected, so there were no leaks.
Which is something that we took great pains to work on the ground, and we leak tested the node twice, and both times we're very pleased with our results, and it looks like it's paid off for us, and so that's good news for us and a very big step. The other thing that we're pleased about today is if you've listened to Nancy Currie's interviews recently, she's been she's been carefully training to remove the cargo element from the payload bay, and that went flawlessly today, and we had no issues at all with the tight clearances that were there, and that was another positive for us today. So other than that, that's what we're doing today, and we're looking forward to another good day tomorrow.
Okay, we'll start here with questions as usual. If you'd give your name and affiliation. Pauline?
Pauline Arriaga, Associated Press. What is the minor problem that y'all are working?
We, on the side of Unity, let me hold this up, we have a label with the United States flag and the name Unity written on the side. And the label has partially debonded at the lower edge, and we think that's not a problem. It's still there. We're confident that it will stay there, and we're going to go have one of the crewmen reapply it. It's Velcroed down is how it's held onto the vehicle, and the bottom lip of Velcro is lifted up, and we'll just have it push it back down. That should be no issue at all. It's nice to have problems like that.
Bill?
Bill Harwood, CBS, was a couple. When you were talking about pressure leak test, that's not the vestibule and PMA2. You mean inside the node itself? You have telemetry at this point on its systems inside?
Not telemetry, but since the volumes at launch, the PMA2 and the node volumes were atmospherically connected, the IMV valves were open, and now we've opened this hatch, or we've opened the equalization valve, so we can use the orbiter avionics to sense the pressure in the entire stack, and it matches exactly what the models have predicted.
Thanks. And on the arm for Bob Castle, I guess, looking to tomorrow, realizing that obviously Zarya weighs 9,000 pounds more than, I guess, Gamma Ray, which is, I guess, the heaviest known payload you guys have moved around with the arm. Can you just discuss it in general terms? I was impressed today at her ability to so precisely move that thing. Obviously, it's an upgraded arm, but can you just talk about whether it's tough on the arm to move something as big as Zarya, or how difficult that is?
It really shouldn't be any harder on the arm moving Zarya than lighter payloads, because you move them slower. You grapple with the joints all limp, so there's no loads anywhere, and then once you try to move things around, you move it a little slower. So you apply the same force and the same loads, you just result in a slower motion so that you never get velocities up, you never put big loads. So we don't see any problem handling Zarya. It's going to be handling very slow and moving very slow.
Can you maybe just touch on, for those of us going to be writing about this tomorrow ahead of time, some of the kinds of contingency plans you guys have worked as you go into moving this thing around without being able to see as well as you can?
Oh, well, we have several levels.
What worries you, I guess, is what I'm saying, or what kinds of things, if you had to pick one that bothered you that is a possibility, what would it be?
Probably the thing we've probably worked the most is just is being able to make sure we align Zarya with Unity correctly, so we can dock the two together. Because it is a blind docking, you can't directly see it. You have no exact centerline targets like we do for all our other dockings. We have several levels of contingencies on that. We've got 3 different sensing systems, if you will, that we believe each has enough accuracy to put things in the correct position. One is RMS digitals, which we checked today. The digitals showed exactly what they should have shown when we picked up the node, when we installed Unity, when we surveyed it. The Space Vision system is another. It is checked out very well today. You heard a lot of discussion on that on the air grounds. The third is the camera views, and all the cameras are working. So I feel pretty comfortable we're going to get that done. We do have contingencies in that if it takes longer than we expect, we can take more than 1 or 2 revs to do it. And in the end, if we have problems doing that, we can park Zarya on the RMS overnight and go out and do an EVA-assisted berthing tomorrow. And there are plans in place to do all of that. Those are the main areas where we have contingency planning. The main thing I've tried to do for the last 2 years working on this flight is make sure we have time. We have margin on everything. You'll notice that from the time we lifted Unity out of the bay until we installed it, and then the time to the next OMS burn was quite a few hours. That was very deliberate. Have time to work things. The time from when we grapple Zarya until when we have to get it berthed or park it overnight, there's several orbits of pad. We've tried hard to do that. So I think that's the major things that we've worked, and we are prepared for problems installing Zarya. We're prepared for several levels of problems.
Martin Berkey with the Huntsville Times. Was it about an hour later, the final docking today?
I think it was almost right on time. It was, matter of fact, we actually delayed the crew about 15 minutes so we got good comm and make sure we had good communications coverage because we were ahead. And I wanted
behind at some point though there. I was trying to watch the clock and maybe I just watched it wrong.
Some of the things got ahead, some of the things got behind. We've gotten behind on some of the Space Vision system testing. It's taken a lot longer than we expected. But the actual work with the RMS and installing Unity went pretty much by the book. Actually started off early and ended up a bit early.
About the point, I think I heard the commentator say it was about 8 feet out of the bay. There was a call, I think, from Cabana to Mission Control saying, do you need some kind of maintenance? And Mission Control said, no, you look okay, go ahead. What was that about?
That was attitude maintenance. When we start lifting the Unity out of the bay, the shuttle goes free drift, so there are no jets firing to disturb the close tolerances that we have. Then we reach there are 2 points in the whole movement where we're stable, we know the autopilot will work correctly, and we can go do an attitude, what we call attitude maintenance, change the attitude, get back to where we wanted to be. The first time he called, I think we were only out of attitude by 5 or 6 degrees. We didn't need to worry about it. We told him to press on to the next point. At the next point, we were out of attitude quite a bit, but we looked at it thermally and communications-wise, we were okay. All it would have done is taken extra time, so we gave him a go to proceed without attitude maintenance there. So that's all it was.
Mark Carreau from the Houston Chronicle for Bob Castle. When you give the go for the Zarya joining to Unity, what sort of communication and lighting requirements do you want optimally, and what can you live with if you don't have that?
Okay, what I want is an SVS solution that says we're in a good capture envelope. The SVS solution using camera Charlie requires daylight with no shadows across the target array, and we've got a couple of orbits of time to do that. And we're going to deliberately set up the attitude before we start it and go free drift, but we'll set it up to give us the right lighting. I would also like RMS, the remote manipulator system digitals, to tell us that we're in the capture envelope. And that's why we paid such careful attention today as to what did those digital measurements tell us when we grappled Unity, when we had Unity installed, and when we surveyed the interface where we're going to dock Zarya tomorrow, verify that those things work right. And then I'd like the camera views for the crew uses to have sufficient lighting so that they can see that everything is lined up. So we need at least one good pass of daylight to make all that happen. We've got at least 3, if not 4, lined up that we could use to do this. But that's what I'm going to look for, is those. I'd like to have all 3 things saying we're in the envelope. If 3 of them don't, I'll go out of 2 out of 3, and if only one, if all 3 disagree, we've got plans for how to deal with that and which ones we think are the best cues. And we know that we don't hurt anything if we fail to dock the first time. It won't hurt anything.
Okay, and do you have to be over Russia with ground station contact, or if you pass that point, can you go ahead? What's your agreement on that?
We need to be over Russia for ground stations just when we grapple Zarya, and then we need to have a Russian ground station pass sometime after we've finished berthing Zarya so that they can command some changes to the Zarya systems, main thing being putting the solar rays back into track so they'll track the sun. So we need to have a pass after the docking. We don't have to have one at docking itself. We need one at grapple.
And just to follow, though, I guess that still sort of influences a choreography of when you do this.
It influences in that you have to have it done before you run out of ground stations, or I drop deeper into my bag of tricks and we will leave the Zarya rays fixed and we'll point the orbiter so that the rays face the sun overnight.
For Bob Castle again, I notice, I guess KU to low power at 500 feet is at 4:47 Central Time on your chart. Is that the earliest we can expect any live television, and do you know if the attitude's going to permit that?
I haven't looked at the attitudes of what it'll permit. It'll probably be later than that. The KU will go to low power then, but we'll probably stay in the radar mode for quite a bit longer until the crew is comfortable and they're in the approach corridor coming down from above. So it'll probably be sometime after we've started the approach. Probably we'll have some TV. And I don't remember what the coverage is, but I would not be surprised if it's pretty poor, because this attitude points the tail at the satellite for a good piece of the time.
Is there any requirement for you guys to have TV on the ground at the moment of attachment?
No, there's not. It would be nice to have, but we've got a lot of visibility without television. We will also probably get some television from Zarya when it comes over Russian ground sites, and that will probably I'm not sure how good that's going to be, because when it comes over ground sites, before the shuttle arrives, the shuttle's going to be quite a ways away and very small. And when it comes over the ground sites the next time, we should be at grapple range, so it'll be staring into the payload bay, essentially. The camera will be.
Okay, any other questions here? We have no questions at the other NASA field centers, so we will resume television coverage, and the commentary will advise you when the hatch is open. Thank you very much.